All right, so here we are. Last week of spring. I think it's been a productive spring. I think every team during, you're kind of planting seeds on a new season, trying to do foundational things, whether it's run the ball, pass the ball, move the pocket, whatever you're doing, and try to incorporate the new pieces that you have on your team. I think it's fair to say the only thing you really bring from last year is that winning feeling that you had by winning 9 games. You also bring the disappointment of losing 4. And so you try to learn from that. But you have to recreate your team at all levels every year with the new pieces that are out there, and new players. And so that's where we're at. And I think that's what spring is for. And so it's been productive. We've just got a long way to go before we play Georgia Tech. And, we've got 2 more opportunities. There's all the other stuff that you do through the summertime that allows you to improve as an offense and a defense. But that's sort of where we're at with 2 more to go.
Can you go ahead
So I'll
and
take your question.
Hey, Coach. At the beginning of spring ball, you mentioned the dedicated effort to run the ball. What have you been doing in practice to really emphasize that element of the game?
Yeah, we're practicing that. So it's not much deeper than that. So we're trying to develop a foundational run game against our defense, and so we're putting a special effort on running the ball with with the runners, and then all the things we did last year. I think college obviously incorporates the run pass option type stuff. So we're trying to get our offense to be a little deeper and a little wider, and do more things next year.
Brian, you go.
Coach, it seemed like Shedeur was really good at making sure he had good rapport with his receivers and working a lot with them outside of practice.
Sure.
Are you seeing that with these quarterbacks? Is there a good rapport being built between those quarterbacks and receivers?
I think so. And, and the 3 quarterbacks that are performing are doing a good job. I see improvement every day. They're all kind of on a different stage of their journey. Obviously Caden's got 1 year left. He's learning what we're doing very well. Juju is a young man with an amazing amount of talent that's got a bright future, and he's doing extremely well. And then Ryan Staub, he's putting together. We grade everything they do, and Ryan is grading out very well each day. He's making plays, and so we feel good about his progress, along with the other guys in the room. But I think Colton and obviously Dom, they do a good job as well.
Jake, go ahead.
Coach, we saw Cam Michael working at running back. Just what was the thought process in moving him there, and just what do you think you can get out of him in that position?
Yeah, Cam's going to be a wide out for us. There were times, during spring sometimes you have, short numbers for whatever reason. A guy might be missing because of class or whatever. So to get through practice, you do certain things, but we see him as a wide out.
Tyler, you go.
Coach, obviously Caden's been around for a while and kind of knows how to approach a spring. How have you liked what about Juju's done in kind of approaching the spring and trying to get the most out of it? How do you feel like he's gone about that?
Yeah, I'm more and more impressed every day. I certainly have a very great relationship that started through the recruiting process, and I saw a young guy. He's really developed. Even his body has developed. With the strength training, he's bigger and stronger, and every day he does something that shows you why he's here and why we're glad he is here. Very, very, very talented young man with really all the things you need to do as a quarterback he can do. Now it's just a matter of him growing in what we do and getting himself ready to play.
Jack, go ahead.
Besides Julian Lewis, just which early enrollees have kind of stood out to you, and what have you seen from that group?
I'm going to refrain from talking about him. I think it's kind of a group effort. The guys are doing a good job of, and again, we're planting seeds. We're trying to grow an offense, and maybe a little bit different image and likeness. They're going to be a lot of the same things we did last year, but we've developed a lot of fun stuff to do next year. And my only concern for our offense is when the ball goes down is we got to go score touchdowns. So we can run it across the goal line, we can throw it across, we can send it via text. I don't care. We need to get the ball across the goal line. And so that's the challenge. And last year we did it a certain way. And this year we may do it the same way, but my sense is it's going to be a little bit different. And so as you grow a new team, it looks different depending on who the players are. We got you know, everybody will talk about it all year long, but when it comes to the quarterback and certainly Travis and some of the other guys, we got very big shoes to fill. And those guys got to understand that as they develop through this process.
Scott, go ahead.
And Coach, how would you kind of assess kind of the development of growth with some of the guys in your running back room this spring, like Dallin and Micah, Brandon Hood as well? And how do you kind of see or kind of envision ideally their roles kind of unfolding here?
I think their role will kind of unfold further as we go through it. I think they're all, you know, warrant being in there and getting touches. I feel like they've developed really well. You know, and the guys that are out there practicing, I feel like they've improved each week, and I think that's the important thing. You just want to keep putting one more pebble on the pile, you know, and we talk about that also. You know, I really think, and you've heard me say this before, we're all on life's journey, and we're all trying to get 1% better as human beings, and these guys as young men and as football players. And I see steady progress, but unfortunately, as coaches, you know, every once in a while we gotta say it in a way where we inspire them. But for the most part, they can do it themselves.
Nikki, go ahead.
I'm just curious what you're seeing out of Zach Atkins and how you might incorporate him in your offense.
Yeah.
Receiver, blocking, all-around tight end for you.
Zach's doing a nice job. You know, he started out really strong, and then he kind of had that illness in the middle there, and now he's back out there on the regular, and he looks good. You know, we like his skill set, and if he's out there, then we'll do things that, you know, highlight his skill and ability. And he can run and catch, which is a good thing. I prefer the tight ends that are first and foremost receivers and somewhat efficient blockers. You know, I think if you want to go the other way, you could just put a big lineman in there. And I think he has, you know, I think he has that ability to run around and catch passes.
All right, go ahead.
What are you seeing out of your offensive line group? You got, you know, 3 coaches that are kind of tag teaming this in a different way than you went about it last year, but it was a group that, you know, has maybe underperformed these first 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's new again. It's a new journey. I think Gunner's doing a great job of leading that room, but we have 3 other guys that are helping him. Andre, obviously, and George, and then Grant. I call them the 4 Gs. And I think as a room, they're doing a really nice job of inspiring our players. A couple of the guys that are here from last year are kind of taking the next step, and then they're incorporating a great deal of new guys, and new guys that we think can be very productive. So, you know, with the offensive line, it takes a group to work together. I think Gunner's doing an excellent job of working through that and you know, developing runs and working on the pass protection. And so I'm really pleased with the direction we're going. Again, we're first steps of our journey, but the arrow's up.
At what point in the process of this quarterback competition would you like to see things organically start to separate?
I like to see them both be doing things where at the end of it, it would be a flip a coin who plays. That's what I'm looking for. I mean, and I see them, you know, challenging each other. It's a super healthy quarterback room too. They're just all trying to do the best with the plays that we give them or I give them. I'm getting a feel for the ones that Caden can do that fit his skill set. And then I certainly know the ones that Juju can execute. And that's part of coaching too. I mean, you got to play to the strengths of the guy that you have. And so that allows our offense to kind of grow wide and deep.
Actually, on that, just a quick follow-up. From bowl practices, how much did you learn about, maybe not necessarily Juju because he with the hand, but with Caden, you know, having been around a little bit, did you learn anything that you said, okay, well, this is a good starting point for spring?
Yeah, I mean, we had a way that we were going to start, and I had an idea of the things that Caden would do and Juju would do. But you also have to develop the offense where they're both in there doing it. So there's a lot of things that run parallel. I've just been very impressed with the amount of work that they've done, how they approach their work, how they lead our offense. They're getting better and better at decision making, which is good. And again, just get that ball across the goal line. I think that's how we're going to mark. That's how you mark quarterbacks. Their ability to help your team win, their ability to get the ball in the end zone, whether you throw it or run it, and then how they just basically run the show. And then their skill and ability will take over.
Thanks.
Last one, Riley, go ahead.
What are you seeing out of some of the returning wide receivers like Omarion and Draylon and those guys?
The guys that are here, that were here last year, they have a much better understanding. we kind of were putting in new stuff last year, right? Or old stuff said a different way. And so for them now, it's like all those teams in the NFL that have been together for 6 or 7 years. You got a memory bank of reps and what you call certain things, so it clicks faster. They can put their mental focus on the new stuff, and I think I see that with the young or with the wideouts that are returning.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate you.
Good.